Albert Bandura identified 4 stages of learning. In our example with Willie and the door, Willie first perceived the behavior that he saw me doing when I opened the door. The second was remembering it, and so he thought about it and remembered the action. The third step was reproducing the behavior when he walked through the door. And the fourth step of learning is the motivation to learn the behavior, to be able to get through doors.
An example of observational learning is when people shake hands. Here in America we learn to shake hands, but in other cultures they bow instead.
Babies learn to talk and walk and laugh.
Humans learn their native languages by observing their parents in normal conversation, and then later languages are developed through other means of observational learning in classrooms.
So another example would be driving. We learn to drive by observing other people doing it inside the car.
The unconditioned stimulus is the cafeteria food. The unconditioned response is nausea. Matt automatically felt sick. The conditioned stimulus is the sight of the cafeteria. Acquisition has occurred, meaning that Matt has learned to associate the cafeteria with feeling sick. When Matt approaches the building, he feels sick again. That is the conditioned or learned response. After some time, the conditioned stimulus will not cause the conditioned response. That is extinction. When Matt can look at the cafeteria without running to the trash can, extinction has occurred.
Pavlov's dogs were conditioned to respond to a bell by salivating. The unconditioned stimulus was meat. The conditioned stimulus was the sound of the bell. That was also the primary stimulus. In higher order conditioning, there can be a secondary stimulus. Another unconditioned stimulus is added. If a light was shown with the bell, the dogs would begin to associate the light with the bell. Once acquisition occurred, the dogs would salivate at the sight of the light. Secondary conditioning, or higher order conditioning, is just another level of conditioning.
Matt could feel sick looking at a building that resembles the cafeteria, such as any building at Arcadia. That would be generalization, or responding in the same way to a similar stimulus. Matt could also not feel sick when looking at any of those buildings. That would be stimulus discrimination, or not responding in the same way to a similar stimulus. Normally, the stimulus is less similar if stimulus discrimination occurs.
At the farmer's market with my so-called girlfriend. She ain't her cell phone, says it's my dad. Man, this ain't my dad, this is a cell phone. I threw it on the ground. What, you think I'm stupid? I'm not a part of your system.
Willie's actions on his environment can be reinforced or punished. Reinforced behavior is more likely to occur again. When Willie is slapped, this is positive punishment, the addition of an undesired stimulus. Willie is less likely to litter now. When he throws the apple juice in the trash, he gets a high five. The addition of a desired stimulus is positive reinforcement. Willie is now more likely to throw his trash in a trash can.
It's gonna be tough.
Hey!
You know what you've done? You know. No! No!
Negative punishment is the removal of a desired stimulus. When Emily littered, Matt took away her cereal bar. She's now less likely to litter.
Go away.
Negative reinforcement is the removal of an undesired stimulus. An alarm clock sounds until a person hits snooze or it turns off. Emily got rid of the undesired noise by throwing the phone. This behavior is reinforced.
B.F. Skinner used his operant conditioning chamber to test the responses of rats. In the Skinner box, pulling the lever was the response and food was the reinforcer. The rats did not get the reinforcer every time they pulled the lever, though. Skinner experimented with schedules. A fixed ratio schedule reinforces a response only after a certain number of responses. The faster the lab rat responds, the more rewards it gets, so there is a high rate of responding. In the real world, it's like piecework pay. A variable ratio schedule reinforces a response after an unpredictable number of responses. It's difficult for the rat to kick the habit, like gambling. A fixed interval schedule reinforces a response only after a certain amount of time. The rat responds more frequently as the anticipated time approaches. It's like the production of workers in a factory if an overseer walks through once every 2 hours or so. Finally, a variable interval schedule reinforces a response at unpredictable time intervals. There is slow, steady responding. It's like the rate of studying if the teacher gives pop quizzes. When Skinner first put a bird in a box, it didn't know that pecking a button would result in a reward. The probability of the bird pecking the right spot was really low. The bird's behavior could be shaped to increase the chances. If it turned in the right direction, it got a reward. If it moved in the right direction, it got another reward. Each small step toward the goal was reinforced. Shaping exists in the real world, such as when a child is learning to write their name. The child is praised for each letter written correctly until it is complete.
Watch you when you say.
Took my phone, bud.
Oh, I can tell you're cold.
You're being a total.
Pretty hot.
Pretty hot?
Now, cold, cold,
Colder.
colder,
Warmer?
colder,
Colder.
colder. Oh, you're warm. You're warm. Warm. Pretty hot. Right?
Yeah, that was really unnecessary.
We got no choice.